Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Jessica McDonald. I'm a knitting pattern designer and I'm coming to you from a tiny town in the mountains of Idaho where it is not very spring-like yet. Today is May 12th, middle of May. I'm looking out the window here down into the river bottom and none of the trees have leaves yet. Even though it's the middle of May. We got an inch of snow earlier this week. The mountains got absolutely dumped on with snow, which is fantastic. I'm not going to complain about that, but anyway. I have not changed into my summer wardrobe yet. I'm still wearing all of my nice cozy wool sweaters and drinking lots of tea. It's still not nice here. So maybe next week. We'll see how it goes. It can be really dramatic here in May. We can go from winter to summer all in the space of 1 week. Like Monday we got snow and on Sunday it's going to be 73 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius, but it's going to be nice and warm this weekend. So maybe the trees will finally put out their buds and we can have a proper spring because it has been long enough. At least all of our snow has melted. There is still a lot in the mountains though. So this is a knitting podcast, not a weather podcast. So shall we talk about that? Usually I've been starting off my podcast with a little section about advice from a designer. You can watch my previous episodes. I've talked about where to measure yourself, how to choose the best fit, those kinds of things. But I don't have something prepared for that this time. So we're just going to skip that section this time. But if you have anything that you have questions about, or you have a question for me, it doesn't even need to be about designing. Feel free to put it in the comment section because I will happily answer it next time around. Next podcast. I hear something. A friend was here dropping something off, so now I'm back to talk about knitting. So you might notice I have a finished object. I actually have a finished object this time. Super cool. After several episodes in a row where I didn't have anything done, I have two things done this time. So you can see this is Snowy Pines. That is now done. Last time I showed it to you, I think I was somewhere in the body, but anyway, now it's done. The sleeves are done, the whole thing's done. I just took it off the blocking mats, so it still has the creases in it. Usually before I take pictures or wear it, I'll use my iron with the steam setting and just steam. You know, this is where the fold was when it was laying flat, so it kind of was this, to keep the fold shape, and I'll just take it and I'll, obviously not while I'm wearing it, and just steam those areas and make them relax, because you can see this kind of funny looking little ridge here is from that as well. So I just steam it and it'll all relax, but I didn't feel like taking the time to do that, so I just popped it on to wear for this episode. So Snowy Pines is the grown-up version of the Ponderosa sweater. This is the Ponderosa sweater, the cover sweater of my book, my Woodland Ramble book. So this is Snowy Pines. You'll see that there is some differences here, down here in this area. I had more yoke to play with here, so I added some stuff. Got a little more excited about it, so it's a little bit different. There's snow up above here. I did a folded neckline on this one, which is really nice and cozy. I moved the short rows from up here to down here, which I really like how it looks with the uninterrupted color work right around the neck. I really like how that looks, and when I was making that change, I was really worried about how it would fit. I was worried about it sitting funny in the shoulders in this area here, but it really doesn't sit funny at all. It still fits really nice You can see the neckline still sits really nice. It doesn't sit funny in the shoulders. The arms aren't sitting crooked. It doesn't sit crooked in the arms because the short rows start over here. So there's a wedge of short rows in the back of the sleeve and then in the back of the yoke. But it doesn't make it sit funny in the shoulders or the arms at all. It just lifts the back neck like short rows always do. So this is Snowy Pines. I'm gonna stand up. That was the chair, I promise. Here we go. There it is. Isn't it beautiful? I love it because I love green, I love gray, and I love colorwork pullovers. So this is, and I love trees, and so this one is going to be, I think, my new favorite sweater, which is a good thing because my old favorite sweater just got a hold of this last week. So there's that. I made the sleeves a little bit too long when I was making this. If I pull it down all the way that it goes, it comes to here. I wanted them to fit just at the beginning of the hand like this, but they are a little bit long, but that's okay. I'll just pull them up a little bit. I don't think it's enough to make too much of a difference. It might rumple a bit, but I don't think it'll matter. We'll see how it goes. They don't fit tight. If you knit a sleeve that fits really tight as you wear it, it'll stretch out, which will make it also shorten. But these ones don't fit tight at all, so I don't think that's gonna happen. They actually fit really, really nice. I have big arms for somebody with my chest size. I just have big arms. I don't think that I am unusually strong. I think it's just my body likes to put fat on my arms. So if you made this same size with the same chest ease, the sleeves would probably fit you a little looser than they fit me, but they're not fitting me tight at all. I probably got inch and a half of ease in them. I knit this sweater with a little more ease than I generally do. I think this is 4 to 5 inches of positive ease in the chest, so it fits me a little bit looser. I wanted something that fit a little bit bigger and was just super cozy and warm and easy to move in and just cozy. Because I'm picturing myself sitting by a campfire on a cool summer evening in the mountains, holding a hot cup of tea and just watching evening come. Like, can you just picture that? Doesn't that sound amazing? Sitting there in this foresty sweater. That's the dream. So that's why I made it with a little more ease, because usually I stick around 2 to 3 inches of positive ease, but this one I went with more because I wanted a easier fit, more of a sweatshirty fit. So that's what I went with for that. I originally knit the body a little too short. It was about 1/2 inch shorter than I wanted. So I decided to try to tease out some extra length as I was blocking it. So when it was wet and I laid it out, I put a line of pins, blocking combs right under the color work, and then I just smoothed it down with my hand to ease out a little bit extra length, and now it is perfect. It hits about low hip, which is how I like my pullovers to fit when I wear them with jeans. So, which is how I'm gonna wear this one. So this is Snowy Pines. The test knit is I think the test knit deadline is over. Let me look at my, oh, I didn't put the deadline. I have my poster board with all my individual cards over there, but I didn't write the test knit deadline down on it. So I think the test knit ended yesterday, but it might also end at the end of the month. I'm not super strict about my deadlines. Basically my deadline is I'm gonna have the pattern done by this day, and if you don't manage to finish it, I don't get really worked up. Most people do, because I do have really generous deadlines. Like the deadline for this sweater was 2.5 months long. So it's like 2 to 3 months long. So there is usually enough time for people to finish the sweater in the test knit period. But if somebody doesn't, I never get worked up about it. Life happens, and I have emails sometimes from test knitters like, I'm sorry I failed you. No, you were in the hospital. You don't need to worry about my test knit deadline. You were in the hospital for 10 days. So I'm not anal about those at all. Now I'm rambling about test knits. So anyway, there's my first finished object. Snowy Pines is going to come out this fall as an individual pattern. It'll be this fall, but it's going to be in the grown-up version of this book. So the grown-up version of this book is going to be called Forest. This will be one of the designs in it. All of the things I'm going to show you today are going to be in Forest. So there is my first finished object. I really love wearing this. I'm just looking at myself. I flipped around my camera screen so I can see what you see. It just looks so pretty. Isn't that luscious? I love it. That's why I started designing things, really, is so that I could make sweaters that are exactly perfect to my taste and preference and that I love, and I've done it. And I'm so glad that you guys love them too. So there's Snowy Pines, my first FO. Next we're going to do the Juniper Hat. So the accessories for Woodland Ramble use the leftover yarn from the colorwork sweaters, and I'm kind of doing the same thing for Forest. So this is the Juniper Hat here. It is done and blocked and everything. It just needs its pom-pom. It goes with, it matches the juniper cowl. Let me show you a picture of that. I don't actually know where the cowl itself is. It's gonna take me a second. Here we go. This cowl here, Brenda is wearing. This is already written in sizes up to adult. This size that you see her wearing in the photo is the smallest size, so it's like a 2 to 6 year old size. She was 5 at the time these pictures were taken, and it goes all the way up to adult. There are 3 sizes in it, so you could already make that for yourself. And this is the matching hat. It's already done. I made the largest size. I have a rather large head for a woman. I just have a giant head. And I don't like my hats to fit tight, so I made the largest size, which is, I think, a 22-inch circumference, but I can't, that might not be exactly right. So there are smaller sizes all the way down to toddler size as well for this one. So here's the Juniper Hat. There's a little bit of room in the crown, which I like. I need to put the pom-pom on, and it will kind of pull it a little bit like this. I don't know what you see, so hopefully this doesn't look weird. But this is the Juniper Hat. Looks pretty cute. It coordinates nicely with all the rest of the stuff in this, because this gray color is the same as this gray color, and the green is the same as this green. So it goes together really nicely, even though they are not identical. Although if you did want to make a hat that was identical to this sweater, you would make the Snowy Hat. So you can see there. The Snowy Hat would use the leftover yarn from this sweater and have the same theme. So you could get very matchy-matchy if you wanted to. So anyway, this is the Juniper Hat. It's going to be joined by a pair of mittens that I have not yet written up, but I will hopefully before the end of the month. So it's currently with the tech editor, so I'll start the test knit hopefully here in a week or 2. I did a folded brim. I really love a folded brim because not only is it more cozy, but it adds some width to your face, and you can see my face is long and narrow, so I don't like things that like suck down or super smooth to your head, because it just makes my face look longer and narrower. So I like something that adds a little bit of bulk to it, makes it look a little wider. So there's the Juniper hat. This took me 3 days to knit. Makes me think I should maybe do some more hats, because they're a lot of fun to knit. A lot of fun to knit, to make something that just knits up super fast. So there's the Juniper hat. I have put up a poll on Instagram asking people what color they thought I should make the pom-pom, and I think caramel is winning. I think right now caramel is winning. So this is what it would look like, the caramel pom-pom, although a lot of people have also voted for the green. So you can tell me what you think, put it in the comments, because I haven't decided yet. So I'll probably just go with whatever the majority says, because I think all of them would look nice. Whoops, I dropped it. All of them would look nice. I also thought about possibly like putting colors together, even adding gray in there, doing a 3-color pom-pom. That might be a bit much for me. I am a little bit boring. So just need to pick out pom-pom color and make the pom-pom, and then this one is completely done and ready to go. I have a tutorial in the tutorial section for how I make my pom-poms, in case you also need to make a pom-pom. So that one is also a finished object. And now I have two whips to show you. I think I'm going to show them to you in this order. You've seen this one before. This is red cedar. Last time I showed it to you, I told you I was putting it aside so that I could work on something more pressing. Since this pattern was done, I'd already finished one sleeve. I needed to finish the other sleeve. The test knit's done. People have absolutely loved and adored this sweater, so yay. I'm so glad they loved it. And the pattern was perfect. So yeah, one sleeve done. Second sleeve is just started, and I picked this back up again because after I finished the hat, I don't actually have the next pattern for the next thing written, so I couldn't start something new. So it was really nice to just have this sitting in the closet and I could just grab it and pick up the sleeve. So that is being worked on. It's in this is a pillow cover that I embroidered many long years ago, and I just turned it into a project bag. So that one is what I'm currently working on, but I pulled that out because my main project right now was kind of stalled out because I needed to film a tutorial for this neckline, but I couldn't film the tutorial because I have 4 children and I homeschool them, so they're always here. They're always here, always noisy, and today they're at grandma's. So before I came up here to do the podcast, I sat down and I filmed the tutorial for how to do the neckline, and yeah, it's amazing the things I can get done when there's nobody complaining to me about things. So this is silver birch. There's been a bit of a long and drawn out story when it comes to the yoke and the neckline. About probably a month ago, I had the shoulders done, half the neckline knitted up, and then I tried it on and I realized that the armholes were way too deep, way too deep, and the neckline was just way too wide and a little bit too deep, and it just wasn't gonna work. So I put it in timeout for a while because I just didn't want to deal with it, because I was just kind of mad about it. And then I ripped it back. I didn't have to rip, everything out. I just redid all of the math and rewrote the pattern, and then I figured out where I needed to rip back to. So basically I just needed to figure out from the underarm where I started the neckline shaping, and then put a marker there and ripped back to there, and then knit from here up on the front, and the same on the back, although that neckline shaping starts closer up to the neck. So I didn't have a ton to reknit, but it was really annoying. So I took like 2 to 3 weeks to do something that could have been done in a single afternoon if I had, you know, actually just sat down and done it instead of being mad at it and putting it in timeout for a long time. So anyway, but now it's done. I reknit the neckline more than a week ago, but I couldn't film the tutorial because how I sew down the neckline is a bit different than how I've seen other people do it. And I have a blog post up showing how I did it. It's the same way I did Birch's neckline. Birch is the kid version. Sorry, that was my phone. Birch is this gray sweater. It's the little kid version of this one. So it's the exact same way I did Birch's neckline, and I have a blog post on how to do it, but I decided that it would be good to film a video tutorial because that might be easier for people to follow when they like to have more visual instruction and have somebody talk them through it. So it took me a while to get here, but it's finally done. I've tried it on and it fits nice. It's sitting a little wonky because it needs to be blocked. So now I just need to pick up the sleeves and make sure I have the right sleeve numbers, and then I can send it off to the tech editor. So how this neckline is done is it's picked up. I'm going to show you the inside. It's picked up because you work the yoke and then you do the shoulders with a 3-needle bind off, a tutorial for which is already in my tutorial section. And then you pick up the stitches for the neckline and you knit it to 3 inches because I wanted it to be 1.5 inches finished, and then you fold it over and you sew it down. Here we go. Where's the front and where's the back? You sew it down. I don't know, move my face so you can see it. You sew it down to the picked up edge, but I wanted to make sure that it was something really neat and flat, and you can see how neat and flat this is. You can't even see a ridge there. There's no ridge there at all. So how I do it is when I'm binding off the neckline ribbing, I do it very loosely and I do it in knit. So every single stitch as you're working around the bind off, you knit instead of working in knit 1, purl 1 pattern. So you knit them all as you bind off, and that makes the braid of the bind off sit a little bit to the front of the ribbing so when you bind off in pattern, your bind off braid sits on top of the ribbing like it does here in this sleeve cuff, so it's on top of the ribbing. But when you bind them all off in knit, it rolls a little bit to the front and it sits a little bit to the front, so then when you fold it down to sew it together, you have this really nice braid that just lays nice and neat along your picked up edge, and then you can sew them together and just go through each side back and forth as you sew it together, which I'll put a link to the blog post in. Ooh, I'm shaking my table. I'll put a link to the blog post in so you can see the pictures, but the tutorial is probably going to take a week for me to get up. So that will come eventually. You can subscribe to this channel to make sure you don't miss it, but I'll have a video tutorial out so that you can see exactly how I do it. It works for any neckline where you're going to pick it up and sew it down, because you need to have that ridge from where you picked up for the neckline originally. Also, I have a tutorial I filmed for a tutorial on how to pick up stitches for a neckline, so that will come out sometime whenever I manage to edit it. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to edit and upload this podcast first though. So those will come all in good time. So it has that ridge from where you picked up the stitches, and then you sew the bind off braid to that ridge, and it turns out really nice and flat, really neat. It's really stretchy. You can see it's really stretchy, but it's still really strong. Although if you do end up breaking that, it's with a new piece of yarn, so you can just sew it back down again. You don't have to worry about your whole sweater falling apart, which is another thing I was thinking about as I was making Birch because it's for kids, and kids have giant heads and they yank things over their heads, and sometimes they'll just pull them down over their bodies too. So I wanted to make sure it was going to be something that was going to be really strong and sturdy but easy to fix if it did in fact break. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this neckline looks, how it functions. I really like it. Really, really like it. It looks really nice. Really nice and neat. Focus on it. You can see. Looks really fantastic. I think it looks really fantastic. But I don't have a lot of experience sewing down necklines. This is the only way I've done it, so you may think your way is better, and you can tell me what way you do it in the comment section below, and I'll come check it out because I'm always happy to learn new and better ways to do things. So there's Silver Birch. Finally coming along. Just needs its sleeves, just needs its test knit done. And the next thing I need to do is the mittens that match the hat. This hat. The mittens that match the Juniper hat. And the snowy shawl that matches the snowy hat and mittens. I'll show you the snowy hat and mittens again. I keep this book here so I can show you everything. So there's the snowy hat and the snowy mittens. And this book is available on my website if you want to purchase a copy. There's the snowy mittens. So I'm making a shawl in this snowy theme. So I'm in the middle of charting all kinds of things. So yeah, if this is not the final iteration of it here, this chart, I need to change it a bit. So yeah, I'm gonna make a shawl, which will be my first ever shawl design. I think I've only ever successfully finished one shawl before, so this is kind of a new thing for me. Also, it is probably going to be knit in the round and steeked because it's a colorwork shawl, and I don't know if you want to knit colorwork back and forth, which you can do, but it might be kind of a pain to do. So I think I'm going to knit it in the round and steek it, which will be my first actual proper steeking. I've steeked lots of swatches. I like to do my colorwork swatches in the round and then steek them. That's how I like to do my colorwork swatches, but I've never actually steeked a final project, you know, a thing that's, you know, not a swatch. So a little bit nervous, but a lot excited about that because that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm thinking it'll be a super cozy shawl to wear on a cold day. I really love this snowy trees and the green and the gray and the white all together. So I think I'm really gonna love it when it's done. So that is what I am currently working on designing and writing the pattern for, because I need to get that on my needles and get it done. Yeah. So the sun has finally come out. Hopefully this doesn't make it too bright. It doesn't look like it's too bad. Hopefully it wasn't too dark before. I wish spring would come, like in earnest, like leaves out, everything blooming. It's just been so cold. Like I said at the beginning, it's been insanely cold. Even today, it's too cold to be outside without a coat on. It's just not a nice day at all. I'm a huge gardener, and it's not just a few flower beds. I do a lot of really serious food production gardening. Last year, I think I produced about 60% of all of our vegetables, and I was going to try to do more this year, but I don't think I'm going to manage that because the chickens were in our high tunnel all winter and just completely destroyed it. So we're a little bit slow starting this year. So I have my tomatoes planted and peppers planted and a bunch of other stuff planted, and it's just kind of slowly eking along because it's just not warm yet. Yeah, just very slowly starting. So hopefully it warms up the next few weeks and things can start growing in earnest, because I'm really tired of buying store-bought lettuce. It's just sad. It's just sad. All right, well, I think I'm gonna quit rambling now, because I have been for a while, and I'm going to edit this and hopefully get it ready to upload it this overnight tonight, so you can enjoy it this weekend with some of your own knitting. And if you enjoy seeing what I'm working on and you like seeing my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel, like this video so that other people can find it more easily, and until next time, which will hopefully be a lot sooner, happy knitting. Bye.